We tend to picture the narcissist as a calculating villain, a psychological mastermind executing a personalized plot to destroy the people who love them. Take our case study, Sarah. When she first met David, it felt like the universe had aligned. He anticipated her needs, matched her energy, and offered a sense of connection that felt like finding a soulmate. Then, the warmth vanished. The person who claimed she was his perfect match began treating her with the cold detachment of an inconvenient stranger, leaving her devastated. Sarah spent years trying to figure out how she was so targeted. David is executing a pre-programmed psychological script. This diagram illustrates the system architecture of that script. The ICD-11 classifies narcissism with anancastia, obsession and compulsion. The abuser is an empty machine trapped in an automated loop of repetition compulsion. To understand Sarah's trauma, we must stop looking for a human agenda and unmask the mechanics of the machine. During that first meeting, David was weaponizing cognitive empathy to scan Sarah for vulnerabilities. This matrix compares empathy types across profiles. David could observe Sarah and deduce her emotions, but his affective empathy, the ability to feel sadness for her, registers as a null. The system was conducting a commodity audit. This graphic outlines the 4 S's of the auditioning phase: sex, supply, services, and safety, or stability. He evaluated Sarah to see if she could reliably act as a service provider. Sarah was empathetic, financially secure, and supportive. She passed the audit, triggering the next automated sequence in David's programming. This maps the introjection engine. Because the narcissist cannot handle independent objects, the brain takes a static mental snapshot of the victim instead. Taking this snapshot causes the psychological erasure of the real person, creating a firewall that blocks interaction with the real Sarah. All future interactions are directed at an internalized, 2D, heavily photoshopped snapshot of Sarah. Sarah's true self is locked out of the relationship. She has been commodified and replaced by an empty internal simulation. The soulmate sensation is a product of the Hall of Mirrors. David projects his idealized snapshot back onto Sarah. She walks through this empty void and sees herself flawlessly reflected, falling in love with her own idealized image and experiencing the intoxication of unconditional self-love. This graphic reveals the resulting dual mothership. Sarah becomes a mother figure to the narcissist's child, while the narcissist simulates a mother figure to Sarah's inner child. This system fails when Sarah's human imperfections contradict the flawless snapshot, causing unbearable psychological dissonance for David. Look at the top left quadrant of this matrix. Narcissists suffer from object inconsistency, relying exclusively on the stability of internal snapshots. To resolve a system crash, they must assassinate the internal snapshot. Once destroyed, the external person is discarded to realign their reality. The discard is an unavoidable software reset, rather than a personalized punishment. Recovering from this cycle is a waking nightmare, rather than a standard breakup. This equation breaks down the architecture of grief. Sarah is simultaneously mourning an intimate partner, an idealized reflection that nurtured her, the simulated inner child she protected, and her own core identity. Recovery requires Sarah to shift her locus of control. An external locus leads to hopeless victimhood, assigning supernatural power to the abuser. Trauma is the mind's subjective reaction to an event. Reclaiming an internal locus means trauma can be reversed and controlled. These are the structural affirmations of recovery. Pillar 1 is sovereign boundaries, communicating the cost of breaching them. Pillar 2 is zero tolerance for incremental abuse. The third pillar is internal validation. Sarah must decouple self-love from the projection and rely on her own reality testing. Meaning is not something given by an abuser's fantasy. It is a mechanism you generate yourself. Escaping the machine requires trusting the data of your own mind and reclaiming your agency.